Aristotle believed that to be truly free, a man must first become a servant to his own discipline. Here is the modern translation of that ancient truth. If you cannot resist a small purchase, you cannot command a large future. 14 days. No dopamine spending, no impulse buys, no entertainment purchases, no convenience upgrades, no I deserve this, no small digital indulgences designed to spike mood and drain reserves. 14 days of financial silence. And something inside me shifted. Walk with me. Stand in the ruins of the agora at dawn. The marketplace is empty now. Broken columns hold the memory of trade. Once, merchants negotiated with calculation, not emotion. Coin moved with intention. Decisions were deliberate. Today we trade differently. We trade attention for stimulation. We trade money for mood. We trade future security for present comfort. And we call it normal. The more convenient life becomes, and the worse your financial future becomes, if convenience governs you. Because convenience trains the brain to expect reward without effort, and a brain addicted to reward cannot build arete. So I removed the reward. For 14 days, I eliminated every purchase tied to emotional relief. No spontaneous online orders, no premium upgrades, no small treats, no status purchases, only essentials. Food, utilities, transportation, tools required for work, nothing else. And the first thing I felt was agitation. Not deprivation, agitation. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When you feel stressed, what do you buy? Coffee, clothes, subscriptions, food, distractions. What is your emotional receipt pattern? Because dopamine spending is rarely about necessity. It is about mood regulation. We purchase relief. Relief becomes habit. Habit becomes erosion. The Greeks understood something we have forgotten. Pleasure is powerful, so powerful that it must be disciplined. They spoke of sophrosine, self-control, as a pillar of excellence. Not denial, control, control over appetite, control over impulse, control over reaction. Because a man who cannot control his impulses cannot build a legacy. The first 3 days were loud. My mind negotiated constantly. You've worked hard. It's only a small amount. This doesn't count. The voice of indulgence is persuasive. It rarely shouts, it whispers. And tell me, how often do you justify purchases as small exceptions? How many exceptions have become your lifestyle? The modern marketplace is engineered to stimulate. One click, one tap, one swipe, and reward arrives. But reward without resistance weakens neural discipline. The Greeks did not live in frictionless environments. Trade required effort, food required preparation, entertainment required gathering. Nothing was instant, so patience developed naturally. We have removed friction, and in doing so, we have removed training. Financial erosion begins in small indulgences. $10 here, $20 there. A subscription, an upgrade, not catastrophic individually, but collectively corrosive. On day 4, something interesting happened. The urge did not disappear, but it became visible. Instead of acting on it, I observed it. A craving is simply a wave. It rises, it peaks, it falls. If you do not feed it, it weakens. If you feed it on, it strengthens. The brain adapts quickly to reward frequency. High stimulation resets baseline expectation. Remove stimulation, and the mind rebels. But after rebellion comes recalibration. Let me ask you directly, how many times per week do you spend to change your mood? And what would happen if you removed that option? Would anxiety increase? Would boredom surface? Would discomfort emerge? Or would clarity return? By day 6, silence expanded. Without the distraction of buying, my attention shifted. I noticed how often advertising influenced thought, how often subtle envy triggered desire, how often boredom triggered consumption. Dopamine spending is rarely conscious, it is reflexive. Reflex is the enemy of discipline. The Greeks practiced deliberate action. Before purchase, they evaluated utility. Before indulgence, they evaluated consequence. They understood that appetite expands when fed indiscriminately. So they cultivated limits. Let me ask you something sharper. If your bank statement revealed every emotional purchase in bold letters labeled impulse, what would it show? Would you be comfortable with that record? Or would it expose patterns you avoid examining? On day 8, something shifted. The agitation faded. The desire to purchase diminished, not because I had exhausted it, because I had weakened its authority. The mind recalibrated. Simple things felt sufficient. Coffee brewed at home. Meals cooked simply. Walks without spending. Contentment increased, and contentment reduces financial pressure. Here is the injustice no one explains. You are told that upgrading life increases happiness, but upgrades increase dependency. Dependency increases expenses. Expenses increase stress. Stress increases impulsive spending. The cycle feeds itself. Comfort feels like progress, but comfort without control is erosion. Let me ask you, are you spending to build your future or to escape your present? There is a difference. Investments build foundations. Impulse purchases build clutter. Clutter occupies attention. Attention fragmentation reduces focus. Reduced focus reduces earning capacity. Financial decline is rarely dramatic. It is incremental. On day 10, I reviewed numbers. 14 days without dopamine spending created visible surplus. Small daily expenses accumulate quietly. Remove them and clarity emerges. Savings are not built through heroic sacrifice. They are built through consistent restraint. The Greeks understood accumulation. Grain stored daily becomes security. Discipline practiced daily becomes character. Character compounds. So does debt. Tell me, if you removed all non-essential spending for 2 weeks, what would you learn about yourself? Would you discover capacity or dependency? Would you discover strength or fragility? Dopamine spending is not just financial. It is neurological. The brain associates buying with relief. Relief becomes reinforcement. Reinforcement becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. I'm someone who treats myself. I'm someone who enjoys life. I'm someone who upgrades. But who are you without consumption? If spending ceased, what would define you? This question is uncomfortable because identity is often tied to lifestyle. Lifestyle is expensive, and expensive identities require constant income. Constant income requires constant performance. Constant performance creates anxiety. Anxiety triggers spending. The cycle repeats. The Greeks separated identity from possession. They measured arete by virtue, not luxury. A wealthy Roman who lacked discipline was pitied. A modest citizen with composure was respected. Reputation followed character. Character followed discipline. Discipline followed awareness. By day 12, something surprising happened. My creativity increased. And without purchasing novelty, I sought novelty in thought. Ideas expanded. Focus deepened. Dopamine recalibrated to effort rather than consumption. Effort felt rewarding again. Let me ask you plainly, when was the last time effort itself felt satisfying? Not the purchase after, not the reward after, the effort. If effort feels dull and consumption feels exciting, your wiring favors erosion. Rewire it. 14 days is not dramatic, but it is revealing. It exposed how often I spent to avoid feeling something. Boredom, stress, restlessness, insecurity, spending masks discomfort. Discomfort builds resilience if faced. The Greeks practiced voluntary restraint to eliminate fear of loss. If you can live without indulgence temporarily, indulgence cannot enslave you. Modern convenience makes restraint rare. Rare practices build advantage. Financial advantage begins with self-control. Self-control begins with observation. Observation begins with silence. Let me ask you something final and difficult. If every unnecessary purchase disappeared from your life for 1 year, where would you stand financially? Where would you stand mentally? Would your focus sharpen? Would your savings grow? Would your anxiety decline? Or would you feel deprived? The answer reveals your current structure. Dopamine spending weakens future strength. Convenience accelerates appetite. Appetite without boundaries devours wealth. 14 days did not make me Roman. It made me aware. Aware that comfort had been quietly dictating decisions. Aware that small indulgences were larger patterns. Aware that discipline restores autonomy. The more convenient life becomes, the more deliberate you must be. Because convenience is not neutral, it is persuasive. If you do not architect your behavior, it will be architected for you. And what is architected for you rarely serves your legacy. The ruins of Rome still stand, not because Romans indulged endlessly, but because, for centuries, discipline outpaced decadence. Erosion began when indulgence exceeded structure. Your life is no different. Structure must exceed stimulation. Otherwise, stimulation will consume structure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The mountain of discipline remains. It is steep, and it does not offer shortcuts.